Ladies and gentlemen, in 2026, the loudest thing you can do is protect your energy and remain silent. Not silent because you are weak. Not silent because you are afraid. Silent because you finally understand the value of what lives inside you. Every day, the world is pulling at you. People want your explanation, your reaction, your validation, your emotional labor. They want access to your thoughts, your plans, your wounds, your next move. But wisdom teaches us that not everything deserves a response and not everyone deserves access. You don't lose power by staying silent. You lose power by arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You lose power by explaining your vision to people who benefit from your confusion. You lose power every time you let distractions drain what was meant to build your destiny. There was a time when you spoke too much because you were searching for approval. You announced plans before they were ready. You defended yourself when silence would have spoken louder. But growth changes your language. Maturity changes your volume. Purpose teaches you restraint. Everyone needs to know what you're building. Seeds grow best underground. Roots develop in darkness. The strongest transformations happen away from the crowd. While others are broadcasting every move, you are becoming something undeniable. Protect your energy because emotional exhaustion is the enemy of focus. When you give everyone access to you, you leave nothing for yourself. When you answer every call, respond to every message, and engage every opinion, you dilute your power. There are battles you don't need to fight because time will fight them for you. There are accusations you don't need to address because results will answer them better than words ever could. Let them talk, let them assume, let them doubt. You don't owe clarity to people who thrive on confusion. In this season, your peace is more valuable than your popularity. Your focus is more important than your explanation. Your discipline matters more than your defense. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to become who you were called to be. Protect your energy by choosing your circle wisely. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Some people only need to see the finished product, not the process. Distance is not disrespect, it's self-preservation. Staying silent doesn't mean you stop moving. It means you stop announcing. You stop seeking validation. You stop negotiating with distractions. You move quietly, consistently, intentionally. Energy is your most valuable asset, and most people don't realize it until they are completely drained. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose opportunities and find new ones. You can even lose time and still make peace with what remains. When your energy is constantly wasted, mismanaged, or given to the wrong places, everything else in your life begins to suffer quietly and deeply. Energy is what fuels your focus. It determines how clearly you think, how strongly you feel, and how consistently you act. Without energy, vision becomes blurry, discipline weakens, and purpose feels heavy instead of empowering. Many people mistake lack of motivation for laziness, when in reality, they're simply exhausted from carrying emotional, mental, and spiritual weight that was never theirs to hold. Every decision you make costs energy. Every conversation, every reaction, every argument, every explanation takes something from you. This is why being constantly available to everyone leaves you unavailable to yourself. When you spend your days responding instead of creating, reacting instead of building, your energy is being spent on survival rather than growth. The world is loud, demanding, and impatient. It pressures you to have an opinion on everything, to respond immediately, to explain yourself repeatedly, and to engage in battles that offer no reward. Energy is not infinite. You cannot pour from an empty cup and expect excellence to flow from it. Protecting your energy is not selfish, it is responsible. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because their energy is scattered. They are mentally exhausted from overthinking, emotionally drained from people pleasing, and spiritually depleted from living disconnected from their purpose. When your energy is divided, your progress slows. When your energy is focused, momentum is created. You must understand that not everything deserves your attention. Attention is the doorway through which energy flows. Whatever you consistently focus on begins to consume you. This is why negativity feels heavy, drama feels exhausting, and toxic environments leave you feeling empty. They are energy thieves, slowly pulling from you without ever giving anything meaningful in return. Protecting your energy means learning the power of restraint. It means knowing when to walk away from conversations that lead nowhere. It means choosing silence over reaction, boundaries over explanations, peace over validation. Silence conserves energy because it refuses to feed chaos. It denies distractions the fuel they need to grow. Your emotions are also a major source of energy loss. When you allow anger, resentment, jealousy, or guilt to linger, they quietly drain you from the inside. Holding on emotional pain is like leaving a device running in the background. It consumes power even when you are not aware of it. Healing is not just emotional work, it is energy recovery. Energy also reflects alignment. When you are living in alignment with your values and purpose, energy flows more naturally. You feel less resistance and more clarity. But when you live in conflict with who you are meant to be, everything feels heavy. Even small tasks feel exhausting because your energy is being used to suppress truth rather than express it. Your environment plays a powerful role in how your energy is used. The people you surround yourself with, the content you consume, the spaces you occupy all influence how much energy you gain or lose each day. Being around people who constantly complain, criticize, compete will drain you. Being in spaces that encourage growth, honesty, and discipline will restore you. This is why boundaries are essential. Boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They decide what is allowed to reach your energy and what is blocked. Without boundaries, you become an emotional dumping ground for others. With boundaries, you preserve the strength needed to pursue your own calling. Energy is also closely tied to consistency. When your energy is protected, you can show up daily with discipline rather than intensity. Intensity burns energy quickly, but discipline manages it wisely. Sustainable success is built on steady, protected energy, not emotional highs and lows. Many people announce their plans too early, wasting energy on talking instead of doing. Every time you explain your goals to someone who doesn't support or understand them, you spend emotional energy defending a future that hasn't even arrived yet. Silence protects your energy by keeping your vision sacred until it is strong enough to stand on its own. Rest is another misunderstood aspect of energy. Rest is not weakness, it is maintenance. Just as machines require downtime to function efficiently, your mind and spirit need rest to recharge. Ignoring rest leads to burnout, and burnout destroys clarity, creativity, and joy. Protecting your energy means honoring rest without guilt. Your energy determines your leadership, your influence, and your impact. People don't just hear your words, they feel your energy. When your energy is calm, focused, and intentional, it commands respect without demanding attention. When your energy is scattered, anxious, and reactive, it invites chaos. As you grow, you will notice a shift. You will stop chasing people, explaining yourself, and fighting to be understood. Not because you stopped caring, because you learned the cost. You realize that your energy is too valuable to be spent on things that don't move you forward. In this season of life, choose conservation over consumption. Choose focus over frenzy. Choose peace over performance. Protect your energy like the priceless asset it is, because everything you want to build, success, clarity, confidence, and fulfillment, depends on how wisely you use it. Silence is a form of wisdom, weakness, and in a world addicted to noise, this truth is often misunderstood. Many people equate silence with fear, submission, or a lack of confidence. They believe that power must always be loud, that strength must always announce itself, and that intelligence must always be proven through words. Real wisdom does not rush to speak. It waits, observes, and chooses its moments with intention. Silence is not the absence of thought. It is the presence of control. It is the space where discernment lives. When you are silent, you are not empty. You are listening. You are gathering information, understanding patterns, and recognizing motives. Wisdom knows that not every thought needs to be spoken, and not every situation requires a response. Unwise react immediately. They speak from emotion, defend from insecurity, and explain from fear of being misunderstood. The wise pause. They understand that words, once released, cannot be retrieved. Silence gives you the advantage of clarity. It allows emotions to settle so decisions can be made from understanding rather than impulse. Silence protects you from unnecessary conflict. Many arguments are fueled not by truth, but by ego. People often want reaction more than resolution. When you refuse to engage, you remove the fuel. Silence disarms manipulation, exposes insecurity, and reveals intention without you saying a word. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Wisdom understands timing. Speaking too soon can sabotage progress. Announcing plans prematurely invites opinions that can weaken confidence. Explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you only drains energy. Silence shields your vision until it is mature enough to stand firm. Just as fruit must ripen before it is picked, ideas and purpose need time to develop without pressure. Silence also reflects emotional maturity. It takes strength to hold your tongue when provoked, criticized, or misunderstood. Reacting impulsively might feel satisfying in the moment, but it often leads to regret. Silence, on the other hand, creates space for perspective. It allows you to rise above momentary emotions and respond from a higher place of awareness. Many people speak excessively because they fear being overlooked. They feel the need to explain, justify, and prove themselves. But wisdom knows that validation does not come from constant expression, it comes from consistency. When your actions align with your values, silence becomes confidence in motion. You no longer need to convince anyone. You let your life speak. Silence strengthens inner discipline. It teaches you to master your thoughts before releasing them into the world. Not every truth needs to be shared. Not every opinion needs to be voiced. Discernment is knowing what to say, when to say it, and when silence serves better. This restraint is not suppression, it is refinement. In silence, self-awareness deepens. When you stop filling every moment with words, you begin to hear your inner voice more clearly. You recognize what truly matters and what is merely noise. Silence creates room for reflection, growth, and wisdom to take root. It is often in quiet moments that clarity emerges and direction becomes certain. Silence is also a test of ego. The ego demands recognition and control. It wants to win arguments, dominate conversations, and prove superiority. Wisdom releases the need to be right. It understands that peace is more valuable than being heard. Silence allows you to walk away from situations that threaten your inner balance. Those who mistake silence for weakness often reveal their own insecurity. They rely on noise to feel powerful. They confuse volume with authority and aggression with confidence. But true strength does not need to announce itself. It is calm, grounded, and unshaken. Silence carries weight because it is backed by self-assurance. History and experience show that the most impactful individuals are often those who speak less but say more. Their words carry authority because they are not wasted. Silence sharpens language. When you speak selectively, your voice gains influence. People listen more closely because they know your words are intentional. Silence also builds resilience, prevents emotional burnout by protecting you from engaging in every distraction. When you stop responding to everything, you regain control over your energy. This control allows you to focus on growth rather than reaction. Over time, silence becomes a shield that preserves strength and clarity. There are moments when silence is an act of trust. Trust in time, trust in truth. Trust that outcomes will reveal what explanations cannot. You don't need to defend your character to those who misjudge you. Time will correct narratives that words cannot. Silence allows results to speak without interference. Silence does not mean passivity. It does not mean you tolerate disrespect or abandon your voice. It means you choose your battles wisely. You speak when it adds value, not when it feeds chaos. You understand that wisdom is not measured by how much you say, by how well you live. In a culture that rewards loudness, choosing silence requires courage. It means resisting pressure to perform, react, constantly engage. It means trusting yourself enough to remain composed when others are restless. Quiet confidence unsettles those who depend on noise for power. Silence refines character. It teaches patience, humility, and discernment. It aligns you with truth rather than impulse. Over time, silence transforms how you are perceived. People begin to respect your presence because it is not desperate for attention. Your calm becomes your authority. Ultimately, silence is wisdom because it reflects mastery over emotions, over ego, and over time. It is not the absence of strength, but the evidence of it. When you learn to embrace silence, you stop wasting energy on proving yourself and start investing it in becoming who you are meant to be. Not everyone deserves access to your plans, and understanding this truth can change the direction of your life. Many people share their goals too early, too freely, and with the wrong audience. They mistake openness for confidence and visibility for progress. Wisdom teaches that privacy is not secrecy born of fear, it is protection born of understanding. A plan is fragile in its early stages. Like a seed, it requires the right environment to grow. Exposing it too soon can damage its development. When you speak your plans aloud, you invite opinions, doubts, and projections that may not align with your vision. Even well-meaning advice can plant seeds of hesitation, causing you to question what you once felt certain about. Not everyone who listens to your plans wants to see them succeed. Some people listen to compare, support. Others listen to criticize, not encourage. And some listen with hidden envy, silently hoping your efforts fail so they can feel more comfortable with their own inaction. Sharing your plans with such people drains motivation and weakens resolve. Access should be earned, not assumed. Just because someone is close to you socially does not mean they are aligned with you purposefully. There is a difference between being present in your life and being invested in your growth. Allowing the wrong people into your vision can distort it before it ever takes shape. When you share your plans prematurely, you also risk confusing movement with accomplishment. Talking about your goals can create a false sense of progress. The mind often feels satisfied simply by speaking, reducing the urgency to act. Silence, on the other hand, keeps hunger alive. It maintains focus and discipline because the only way to release the pressure is through execution. Privacy strengthens commitment. When fewer people know what you are building, you rely less on external validation and more on internal discipline. Your motivation becomes self-driven rather than applause-driven. This kind of commitment lasts longer because it is rooted in purpose, not performance. Not everyone has the emotional capacity to handle your dreams. Large visions can intimidate small thinking. People may project their own limitations onto you, not because they doubt you personally, but because they cannot imagine themselves doing what you are attempting. Their fear becomes advice. Their comfort zone becomes your suggested boundary. Your plans also require discernment because timing matters. There are moments when sharing can create collaboration and growth, but there are also moments when silence preserves momentum. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Silence allows you to refine your plan without interference. It gives you space to adapt, adjust, strengthen your strategy without constant commentary. Another danger of oversharing is accountability to the wrong standards. When too many people know your plans, you may feel pressured to meet expectations that were never aligned with your original purpose. This pressure can lead to rushing, cutting corners, or abandoning the plan altogether. Keeping your plans private allows you to move at the pace required for quality, not approval. Trust is essential, but trust must be selective. There are individuals who can hear your plans and water them with encouragement, wisdom, and constructive insight. These are the people who ask thoughtful questions, respect confidentiality, and care about your long-term growth. These are the few, not the many. Wisdom chooses quality over quantity. Privacy also protects you from unnecessary spiritual and emotional interference. When you are building something meaningful, opposition often comes quietly before it comes openly. Doubt, discouragement, and distraction are subtle forms of resistance. Keeping your plans guarded minimizes these influences and allows clarity to remain strong. As you mature, you begin to understand that not everyone needs to know your next move. Results are often the most powerful announcement. When people see what you have built, understand what words could never fully explain. Success speaks louder when it arrives without warning. Silence around your plans also builds resilience. When setbacks occur, you don't feel obligated to explain delays or justify adjustments. You have the freedom to pivot without public scrutiny. This flexibility is crucial for long-term success, as growth rarely follows a straight line. There is also a sacred aspect to privacy. Some plans are deeply personal, connected to your purpose, healing, or transformation. These are not meant for public consumption. Protecting them honors the journey and the work required to bring them to life. Not everyone deserves access because access implies influence. What people hear, they often try to shape. Guarding your plans ensures that only voices aligned with your values have the power to impact your direction. In time, discernment becomes instinct. You no longer feel the urge to explain yourself or seek approval. You move quietly, confidently, and intentionally. You understand that silence is not hiding, it is focusing. Over-explaining drains power, and most people don't realize how much strength they lose every time they feel the need to justify themselves. It often begins subtly, adding extra details, clarifying intentions, defending decisions, or explaining choices to avoid misunderstanding. What feels like communication slowly becomes a habit of self-defense. And over time, that habit weakens confidence, authority, and inner peace. At its core, over-explaining is rooted in fear of being judged, rejected, misunderstood, or disliked. It is the belief that if people just understand you enough, they will accept your decisions. But wisdom teaches that acceptance does not come from explanation, it comes from alignment. People who respect you don't require constant clarification. People who doubt you will not be convinced no matter how much you explain. Every explanation costs energy. Every justification requires you to revisit a decision, reopen emotions, and mentally rehearse your reasoning. Instead of moving forward, you remain stuck, trying to be understood. Power is forward motion. Explaining keeps you circling the same ground, repeating yourself to audiences that were never committed to hearing you in the first place. Authority does not argue for itself. Confidence does not plead its case. When you are secure in your choices, your actions become the explanation. Explaining sends a subtle message that you are unsure. Even when you are not, it invites scrutiny, debate, and interference. The more you explain, others feel entitled to question, correct, or control your direction. Silence, on the other hand, preserves power. It communicates self-trust. It says, I don't need approval to proceed. This does not mean you become cold or uncommunicative. It means you choose clarity over compulsion. You speak when necessary, not when anxious. Over-explaining also drains emotional power. When you continuously justify yourself, you relive emotional experiences repeatedly. You reopen wounds that should have healed. You carry the weight of others' perceptions, allowing their misunderstanding to become your burden. This emotional labor exhausts you quietly and deeply. Many people over-explain because they were conditioned to. They learned that love came with conditions, that approval had to be earned through explanation, compliance, or performance. But growth requires unlearning. You are not required to explain your boundaries, your healing, or your evolution to anyone who benefited from the old version of you. Power grows when you trust your own judgment. When you stop explaining, you reclaim time, energy, and focus. You stop rehearsing conversations that never needed to happen. You stop trying to control narratives that will never be fair. You redirect your energy toward creation instead of correction. Over-explaining also weakens leadership. Leaders who explain every decision lose authority. People don't need to understand every detail to follow direction. They need consistency, clarity, and integrity. When your actions align with your values, trust is built naturally. Over-explaining signals doubt, and doubt invites disorder. There is also a spiritual cost to over-explaining. It disconnects you from intuition. Instead of listening inward, you begin to look outward for confirmation. Your inner voice becomes quieter as external opinions grow louder. Power returns when you stop outsourcing confidence and start honoring your internal guidance. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Some people ask questions not to learn, but to challenge, delay, or diminish you. Discernment is knowing when silence is more effective than speech. Withholding explanation is not arrogance, it is wisdom. When you stop over-explaining, something shifts. Your words become sharper. Your presence becomes stronger. People begin to respect your boundaries because you enforce them calmly. Without apology, you no longer negotiate your self-worth. Power is not loud. It is steady. It does not rush to respond. It does not over-clarify. It stands firm and lets outcomes speak. Over time, your life becomes the explanation. Your consistency answers questions before they are asked. Over-explaining drains power because it hands control to others. It gives them permission to validate or invalidate your truth. Reclaiming power means choosing when to speak and when to remain silent. It means trusting that those who are meant to understand you will do so without persuasion. Peace is more important than proving a point, yet many people sacrifice their inner calm daily just to be right. They enter arguments not because the issue truly matters, because their ego feels threatened. They defend opinions, justify decisions, and revisit old conversations in their minds long after the moment has passed. In the end, they may win the argument, but they lose their peace, and that is always too high a price to pay. The desire to prove a point often comes from insecurity rather than strength. It is rooted in the need for validation, the fear of being misunderstood, urge to feel superior. But peace comes from self-assurance. When you know who you are and where you are going, you don't feel compelled to convince everyone else. Your calm becomes your confidence. Arguments are exhausting because they drain emotional energy. They keep the mind in a defensive state, constantly scanning for threats and counterpoints. Even after the conversation ends, the body remains tense, thoughts restless, and the spirit unsettled. Peace, on the other hand, restores. It allows the nervous system to relax, the mind to clear, and the heart to settle. Proving a point rarely changes people. Most arguments are not about truth, but about control. People cling to their beliefs because those beliefs protect their identity. No amount of logic will reach someone who is not open to understanding. Engaging in such battles only deepens division and frustration. Peace recognizes when a conversation is no longer productive and chooses to disengage. There is power in walking away. It takes strength to remain silent when you know you are right. It takes maturity to let go of the urge to correct every misunderstanding. Silence does not mean agreement. It means wisdom. It means you value your emotional well-being more than temporary satisfaction. Peace also sharpens focus. When you stop wasting energy on arguments, you free mental space for growth, creativity, and purpose. You redirect attention from conflict to construction. Life begins to feel lighter because you are no longer carrying the weight of unnecessary battles. Many people confuse peace with weakness. They believe that if they don't defend themselves, they will be disrespected. But true peace is not passive. It is grounded. It is the quiet confidence that knows respect cannot be forced. It is earned through consistency and integrity. Over time, people learn that you are not easily shaken and that itself commands respect. Proving a point often feeds ego, while peace feeds the soul. Ego wants recognition, dominance, and victory. Peace wants balance, clarity, and alignment. Ego thrives on noise. Peace thrives on stillness. When you choose peace, you choose long-term well-being over short-term satisfaction. Peace also protects relationships. Many connections are damaged not by differences, but by the need to be right. Choosing peace allows space for understanding, even when agreement is impossible. It preserves dignity on both sides and prevents regretful words spoken in moments of emotion. Letting go of the need to prove a point requires trust. Trust in time, in truth, and in yourself. Time reveals what arguments cannot. Consistent behavior speaks louder than heated words. When you live in alignment with your values, your life becomes the evidence. Peace teaches discernment. Every comment deserves a response. Not every opinion requires correction. Learning when to engage and when to let go is a sign of emotional intelligence. It shows that you value your energy and understand its limits. As you grow, you begin to choose your battles carefully. You stop engaging in conversations that threaten your peace without offering growth. You become comfortable with being misunderstood, knowing that clarity will come through actions, not explanations. Peace allows you to remain centered in chaos. While others react impulsively, you respond intentionally. This steadiness becomes your strength. People may not always agree with you, but they will sense your stability. Distance can be self-respect. Even though many people are taught to believe the opposite, we are often told that loyalty means staying close no matter the cost. Love requires constant access, and that strength is proven by endurance. But maturity teaches a different lesson. Sometimes the healthiest, strongest, Most respectful thing you can do for yourself is to step back. Distance is not rejection. It is recognition. It is the moment you realize that your peace, growth, and dignity matter more than maintaining proximity to people, places, or situations that continuously drain you. Self-respect begins when you stop tolerating what quietly harms you. Many people remain close to what hurts them out of fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being misunderstood, fear of being alone. They stay in conversations that belittle them, relationships that exhaust them, and environments that stunt their growth. Over time, this closeness erodes confidence. What you allow repeatedly becomes what you accept. What you accept begins to define how you see yourself. Distance creates clarity. When you step back, you see patterns that were invisible when you were too close. You recognize who respects your boundaries and who resents them. You notice who values your presence and who only values your usefulness. Distance removes emotional fog and replaces it with understanding. Choosing distance requires courage because it challenges expectations. People who benefited from your availability may accuse you of changing. They may label your boundaries as arrogance or abandonment. But self-respect does not seek permission. It understands that not everyone will celebrate your growth, especially if it disrupts their comfort. Distance is also an act of emotional intelligence. It acknowledges that you cannot change people who are unwilling to grow. Instead of arguing, explaining, or trying to be understood, you quietly step away. This is not avoidance, it is acceptance of reality. Self-respect grows when you stop chasing connections that require you to shrink. You realize that constant compromise at the expense of your values is not harmony, it is self-betrayal. Distance restores balance. It gives you space to breathe, reflect, and reconnect with who you are becoming. Distance does not mean bitterness. It does not require anger or hostility. In fact, the most powerful distance is calm and quiet. It carries no need for explanation or justification. It simply honors your limits. There are moments when distance protects healing. Growth often requires solitude, reflection, and stillness. Being constantly surrounded by familiar voices can pull you back into old patterns. Distance allows you to evolve without interruption, to rewrite narratives without external pressure. Self-respect also means recognizing that access to you is a privilege, not a right. Not everyone who has known you in the past deserves continued closeness in your future. Relationships must evolve or they expire. Distance is sometimes the natural result of growth. Distance teaches discernment. You learn the difference between people who genuinely care and those who only care when it's convenient. When you step back, the truth reveals itself without confrontation. It is important to understand that distance is not punishment, it is protection. You are not trying to hurt anyone, you are trying to preserve yourself. This distinction matters because it frees you from guilt. You are allowed to choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion. As you practice distance, your standards rise. You no longer tolerate disrespect disguised as humor or neglect disguised as independence. You stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. Distance strengthens self-trust. Each time you honor your boundaries, you reinforce the belief that your needs matter. This confidence spills into every area of your life, from relationships to work to personal growth. In a world that often pressures constant access, choosing distance is a radical act of self-care. It signals that you value your energy, your time, and your emotional health. Distance does not mean you stop caring. It means you start caring wisely. You understand that love without respect is unsustainable. Connection without boundaries is destructive. In time, distance brings peace. You feel lighter, clearer, and more grounded. You no longer carry emotional weight that was never yours to hold. Quiet seasons build loud success, even though they rarely look impressive while you are living through them. In a world that celebrates visibility, speed, and constant announcement, silence is often mistaken for stagnation. But the truth is that the most powerful growth happens away from applause, away from attention, away from validation. Quiet seasons are not empty seasons. They are formative. During quiet seasons, nothing seems to be happening on the surface. There are no public wins, no recognition, no celebration. Yet beneath the surface, foundations are being laid. Skills are being sharpened. Discipline is being developed. Character is being tested. Quiet seasons are where depth is formed. Depth is what sustains success when it finally becomes visible. Loud success without quiet preparation collapses under pressure. Many people rise quickly only to fall faster because their foundation was never strengthened. Quiet seasons protect you from premature exposure. They allow you to make mistakes in private, to learn without judgment, and to grow without comparison. These unseen moments become the backbone of future strength. In quiet seasons, you learn how to work with applause. This is one of the most important lessons success requires. If your motivation depends on recognition, your commitment will disappear the moment attention fades. Quiet seasons train you to be consistent even when no one is watching. This consistency becomes unstoppable later. Quiet seasons also teach patience. You begin to understand that meaningful growth takes time. You stop rushing outcomes and start respecting process. Patience matures vision. It keeps you from chasing shortcuts that compromise integrity. Those who endure quiet seasons develop resilience that flashy beginnings can never produce. There's a refinement that only happens in silence. When there is no crowd, you hear your own thoughts more clearly. You confront your doubts, fears, insecurities without distraction. Quiet seasons force honesty. They strip away identity built on approval and replace it with purpose rooted in conviction. While the world sees stillness, discipline is at work. You are showing up daily, improving incrementally, and committing fully. Quiet seasons are repetitive and often boring, but repetition builds mastery. Mastery turns effort into excellence. Excellence attracts attention without asking for it. Quiet seasons also protect your vision. When fewer people know what you are building, fewer opinions interfere with your focus. You are not pulled in different directions by external expectations. You move with clarity because your goals are not diluted by noise. Success that comes from quiet seasons carries confidence without arrogance. You know what it took to build what you have. You are not threatened by others' progress because you are grounded in your own journey. This inner security makes your success sustainable. Quiet seasons teach you how to manage energy. You learn when to push and when to rest. You develop routines that support growth rather than burnout. These habits become essential when responsibilities increase later. There is also humility in quiet seasons. You are reminded that progress is not always visible and that growth is not always glamorous. This humility keeps success from corrupting character when it arrives. When loud success finally appears, it seems sudden to outsiders. They call it luck or overnight achievement. They don't see the long nights, the discipline, the silence, the setbacks, and the perseverance that preceded it. Quiet seasons make success look effortless because the hard work was already done. Quiet seasons also shape leadership. Leaders who have endured silence understand people pressure and patience. They lead with empathy rather than ego. Their authority is calm, not chaotic. Their confidence is rooted, not reactive. Quiet seasons align you with purpose. When distractions fade, priorities become clear. You learn what truly matters and what can be released. This clarity ensures that success serves your life rather than consumes it. Every season is meant to be shared. Some seasons are meant to be survived, studied, and strengthened through. Quiet seasons are not punishment. They are preparation. If you are currently in a quiet season, resist the urge to rush it. Trust that something is forming within you. Growth is happening, even if no one notices yet. Focus increases when distractions decrease, yet modern life is designed to pull attention in every direction at once. Notifications buzz, opinions flood in, comparisons are constant, and urgency is manufactured around things that have little to do with your true purpose. In such an environment, focus does not disappear by accident. It is stolen through distraction. Reclaiming focus begins with understanding that attention is a finite resource, and whatever competes for it competes with your progress. Distraction is not always obvious. It rarely announces itself as a threat. It often appears harmless. Small interruptions, casual scrolling, necessary conversations, emotional reactions, or constant availability. Each distraction may seem insignificant on its own. Together, they fracture attention and weaken momentum. Focus does not collapse in one moment. It erodes slowly through repeated interruptions. When distractions dominate, your mind remains scattered. You start many things but finish few. You feel busy yet unproductive. Mental clutter replaces clarity, and important goals are postponed while trivial matters consume your time. Focus requires depth, but distractions keep you trapped on the surface of everything. Reducing distractions is not about doing more, it is about doing less with intention. When distractions decrease, the mind settles. Thoughts become organized. Priorities become clear. You begin to see connections and solutions that were previously hidden beneath noise. Focus sharpens not because effort increases, because interference decreases. Distractions drain energy before they drain time. Every time you shift attention, your brain expends energy refocusing. Constant switching creates fatigue, even when little meaningful work is done. When distractions are reduced, energy is conserved. That conserved energy fuels concentration, creativity, and endurance. Focus also requires emotional discipline. Many distractions are emotional rather than external. Worry, comparison, resentment, and overthinking can dominate attention more effectively than any device. Reducing distractions means learning to manage emotional triggers. It means choosing calm over reaction and clarity over chaos. Environment plays a powerful role in focus. The spaces you occupy either support concentration or sabotage it. Noise, clutter, and constant interruptions signal the brain to remain alert rather than immersed. Simplifying your environment sends a message of intention, tells your mind that this moment matters. Reducing distractions also requires boundaries. Boundaries protect focus by limiting access to your time and attention. They are not restrictions, they are safeguards. Without boundaries, focus becomes impossible because every request feels urgent. With boundaries, you decide what deserves your energy. Distractions decrease. Discipline becomes easier. You no longer rely on willpower to stay on track because fewer things are pulling you away. Focus becomes a natural state rather than a constant struggle. This ease allows consistency, and consistency builds progress. Focus deepens self-trust. You honor your priorities and protect your attention. You reinforce confidence in your ability to direct your life. Each focused moment strengthens identity. You become someone who finishes what they start. Reducing distractions also reveals what truly matters. When noise fades, values surface. You recognize which goals align with your purpose and which were adopted from external pressure. Focus aligns action with intention. Focus increases quality. Work done with focus carries depth, precision, and meaning. Relationships receive presence rather than divided attention. Decisions become thoughtful rather than reactive. Focus transforms effort into impact. In a distracted state, life feels rushed and fragmented. In a focused state, life feels intentional and grounded. You experience time differently. Moments stretch, clarity expands, and stress diminishes. Reducing distractions does not mean withdrawing from the world. It means engaging selectively. It means choosing depth over breadth, presence over performance, purpose over popularity. As distractions decrease, confidence grows. You no longer feel pulled by every trend or opinion. You move with direction. Others may not understand your focus, but they will feel its strength. Focus increases when distractions decrease because attention thrives in simplicity. When you protect your focus, you protect your future. Your life should speak for you, not your words, not your explanations, not your excuses. So many people waste energy trying to justify their choices, convince others of their worth, or broadcast their accomplishments before they are fully realized. They misunderstand the nature of influence and power. The truth is, life lived intentionally, consistently, with integrity communicates far more than any argument ever could. When your actions, habits, and results align with your values, they tell a story louder than any voice ever could. Your life speaks through discipline. Every choice you make, every action you take reflects priorities. Discipline is the language of results. People may not hear your intentions, but they cannot ignore the evidence of consistent effort. When you show up every day to improve, to build, to create, your life announces your commitment. Words may be fleeting, but actions leave a lasting impression. Discipline turns potential into reality, and reality communicates authority. Your life speaks through resilience. Everyone encounters obstacles, but not everyone overcomes them gracefully. How you respond to setbacks is louder than any explanation you could provide. People notice who gives up at the first challenge and who uses difficulty as fuel. Quiet perseverance, even in the absence of recognition, demonstrates strength and integrity. While others talk about what they would do under pressure, you are busy proving it with results. Your life speaks through the relationships you cultivate, the people who remain close to you, the respect you show others, boundaries you uphold, all reveal your character. You don't need to convince anyone of your values. They are reflected in how you treat others, the respect you command, and the consistency of your behavior. Integrity is visible in the way you live, and respect is earned when actions align with words. Your life speaks through focus. In a world full of distractions, those who can maintain clarity and purpose stand out without ever having to announce themselves. Focus is magnetic. People notice those who are intentional with their time, who pursue their goals steadily, and who do not let external noise derail them. Quieter you are about your journey while remaining consistent, the louder your eventual results will appear. Your life speaks through accomplishments, but more importantly, through the process behind them. People may not witness your failures, sacrifices, or the countless hours of preparation. They may only see the final achievement, but that achievement carries the weight of the work that preceded it. The quiet preparation becomes the voice of authority. When success arrives, it commands attention because it is backed by substance, not hype. Your life speaks through character. Character is revealed not in moments of comfort, but in moments of challenge. How you respond to criticism, temptation, opposition communicates more than any explanation ever could. People observe whether you act ethically when it is inconvenient or whether you compromise when no one is watching. Character speaks volumes because it is consistent and undeniable. Your life speaks through your boundaries. How you protect your time, energy, values demonstrates self-respect. When you refuse to over-explain, overextend, or compromise your integrity for temporary approval, your life communicates strength. People understand your limits not because you tell them, but because they observe them. Your actions create an unspoken but powerful language of respect and influence. Your life speaks through your habits, daily routines, choices. Priorities reflect what you truly value. Small, consistent actions compound over time into visible results. Habits are the silent testimony of intention and commitment. When you maintain discipline quietly, the cumulative effect eventually speaks louder than any loud declaration ever could. Your life speaks through impact. Influence is not created through announcements or self-promotion. It is created by results that improve circumstances, inspire change, or leave a legacy. People may question your abilities or doubt your vision, but time reveals the truth. The impact of consistent effort cannot be denied. Those who observe your life will recognize your power, your dedication, your purpose without you ever needing to explain. Your life speaks through integrity in both action and silence. Sometimes the most powerful communication is what you do not say. Silence does not mean absence, it means confidence. It communicates that you are secure enough to let results do the talking. People notice restraint, patience, and the ability to remain composed under pressure. Life speaks for you. You no longer rely on verbal persuasion. Your reality becomes your argument. Your life speaks through learning and growth. Those who pursue knowledge, self-awareness, and personal development demonstrate evolution without announcing it. Growth may be quiet, incremental, and unseen. It is always visible in outcomes, decision-making, and perspective. People notice transformation. It commands respect more effectively than any argument ever could. Your life speaks through gratitude and humility. Those who acknowledge the journey, respect contributions from others, and remain grounded despite success radiate authenticity. Humility communicates strength because it is confident without needing recognition. Gratitude speaks to character, emotional intelligence, and awareness, all of which cannot be fabricated or faked. Ultimately, your life should speak for you because words are temporary, but actions are permanent. Words can be misunderstood, misinterpreted, or forgotten. Words can be challenged, ignored, or dismissed. Life lived with intention, however, cannot be ignored. Your habits, discipline, integrity, relationships, and results are always visible, always telling a story, and always revealing truth. If your goal is to influence, to lead, or to leave a legacy, focus on the life you are building rather than the explanations you give. Let silence, consistency, and purpose form the narrative of your life. When others witness your journey and the results you produce, they will understand what words alone could never convey. Your life should speak for you because living well is the most powerful form of communication. It eliminates the need for excuses, justifications, and validation. It commands respect, inspires trust, and leaves a lasting impression. Your life is aligned with purpose, your actions tell the story, and everything else becomes unnecessary. Live intentionally, act consistently, let the results of your discipline, focus, and integrity become the voice of your influence. Because in the end, the loudest and most undeniable communication is a life lived in alignment with your values and your purpose.